Hey guys, what's up? You're back for another episode of Safehouse. You presents Mulut Murai, show about what's happened, what's happening, and what will happen in the Malaysian creative arts industry. As you can see from last week until this week episode, I didn't change my clothes yet, but that's because I am recording multiple people on the same day, just to like build up a bank. Yeah, so I can't really say any updates about how Safehouse is doing because I haven't gone through the week yet. But with me today, I have Nessy.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good. Great. Never been better.
Nessy is someone. I mean, I'm not really sure. Not super familiar. Also, I mean, I just saw. I know you've been around for quite a while. I think I talked to you back then when you were working with Deb. I think.
Yeah, we're not working together, but we done a few things together.
And now I just like follow. I just thought it'd be a quite good point to have you on the podcast as well, especially considering the work that you have been doing since then. I think I don't know, bila to like around
2019.
2 years ago, and up until now, you've kind of like climbed the ladder of filmmaking, directing, and writing. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I get those things correct.
Correct.
Um,
For
how-
now, that's what I'm focused on.
So how has it been in like macam what was like the journey like from because from what I understood like you did you have formal education on film?
No, I self-taught.
Yeah.
I studied totally different things.
What did you study?
Maritime, marine.
Marine.
Yeah, so I study about ship and sea.
Marine what? Engineering.
No, I basically officer
Oh
in
serious?
ship, like in the deck department, if you understand.
Like
Like
cap-
offshore thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like a captain.
captain.
But I'm not a captain because I need 10 years sea time.
faham? So before you become a captain
Yeah,
serious
yeah,
you went to school for that?
yeah.
Why?
I always like sea and like working that involve travel and not like office hour. And I think when I study, I was like, I don't want to take like finance and stuff, like no offense, but it always have a big opportunity out there and it's worldwide and it's big pay. So
Why don't you go for like macam I don't even know pilot and
like I actually did apply for Air Force
uh,
before the maritime, but the opening for interview is really long for a female that time. So I don't want to wait. I jump into maritime and I finish it. I work on the oil and gas and stuff for some time before I here.
so what is it called? Maritime officer.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I work in the oil and gas field
Oh,
as a business development, but I've never been on a ship before. I mean, I've seen it. I've gone there,
Yeah.
but not like offshore. And we do have like they have like two captains within the company
Yeah.
and like bunch of different officers.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting that was your initial education.
it's my backup plan if this didn't
This
work.
doesn't work. So what put you into like the film world after your schools? But obviously that's like a really big jump.
Yeah, I always like making things, like since I was kid, but I never have the knowledge that it's a career that you can build and it's like a hobby to you. Even your family didn't really educate you about creative career world and stuff. So that's why I didn't proceed in the first place to continue study in films or creative field. But the urge of doing it always there, and I just starting doing for fun as well actually. So from there I just do for fun and then it start to become a career.
So it initially began like an interest into the field. Is there
Yeah.
anything in particular that was going on in KL or were you from KL?
Yeah.
Is there anything that was going on in KL that was like particularly pulled you in to like the film world?
I think the lifestyle and the people I grew up with, I always I grew up with a brother. He skate.
Okay.
And eventually I skate too with my friends and then we go to gigs and stuff like that. So that lifestyle already drawn me into creative. I don't really per se say filmmaking, right? But
okay,
yeah.
okay, fine.
So I do here and there. I try to play music. I try to
Okay.
take pictures and stuff like that, painting and stuff. So then from that, people will see your work, and eventually that time, someone asked me to do for them, be paid, you know. So okay, I can make money out
What
of
job?
this. It's a clothing brand. It's actually a local brand.
Okay.
And then start with music video for friends and mostly photography job. You know, like commercials, Zalora and stuff like that.
You got jobs or
Yeah, like
like from
I just
Zalo?
started like late 2018, like really started doing it to put it out there in Instagram and stuff, right? So from that, actually I've been really working since 2019. So it's really recent if you divide the COVID pandemic thing, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really still fresh, but because of I consistent like having job, but another job and another job, I think that's why I get to be directing now in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, back then I also do things like set design, props,
But
and creative
that's
stuff.
the
Yeah.
thing though, like macam nak jump in a bit. When I look at your Instagram, I mean that doesn't seem like macam you updated so much with your portfolio and stuff. So when you jump from job to job, I mean it seems like it's been a good opportunity after opportunity punya macam trajectory for you since you started. How was it? How did people find out about what you do and the quality of your work? Macam, is it? Do you think that if anyone did the same thing the way that you did, macam you just jump in from one job and then it's just another one and another one will come, or there's something particular that you did for your own kind of like marketing?
I don't know it's marketing or what, but naturally I don't really push. Oh, this is my work, you know. People will see one thing you do and they like it, and the rest is up to you, like your
Oh,
personal
okay.
and your personality and stuff like that, and how you sell a job or pitch a job to them.
So you do a lot of networking juga lah.
You have to, like, if in commercial, you really have to get there. You cannot just like be in creative.
Right.
Even you have to like, okay, I do the creative, but I also need to the network and all that. Because for me, like I like working like what I'm working right now, but there's a cons as well. So I cannot discount the cons. So I have to do the network if I don't like it. You know, yeah.
So I mean, so in general, macam the jobs that you've gotten were definitely from the people that you've met also lah. It's not
Yeah.
just like people see you from the internet and then they find you because of that.
Actually, yeah, that's also one thing. Like on Instagram and also people I met, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. And but so people you work with and suggest you to people and stuff like that. So if like they ask me for reels and stuff, like okay, I'm just gonna throw out a few, but I never like have a proper resume or show reels for my clients.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah lah. So macam
Yeah.
how did you? That was such a. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not super familiar with like your work and stuff like. But I've seen a couple, and I've definitely gone through I mean, at least the Instagram
Yeah.
stuff. To know that you have dabbled into this and that, but your portfolio macam is not like, oh, this is everything that I've done and this is all the work that you can see.
No,
on.
like there's plenty that I never show to people. I just say it's not time yet. Like I don't want to release it yet.
Okay.
I don't want to show yet. So if like people give me jobs, they see my job, let's say one or two, right? From my Instagram, and they know my style, and they know I can take photo or I can make video. That's it. But I will always ask what kind of job, and if I want to do it, I will take that and sell it like it's mine. So from that, you create the excitement with your client or people that want to give you jobs.
Yeah.
So I think to have compilations of work, it's good, you know, but it not necessary. If you have that, but you can't
Sell it.
you can sell it, you can have that connection.
Yeah.
I mean, they will also not confident in you, you know. Yeah.
So that there's still a distinct characteristic
Yeah.
about how you pitch yourself
Yeah.
and your work.
Yeah.
And I guess like they can also see um, from your work and your performance in your previous jobs as
Yeah.
well how
True.
you did. But that's really interesting like, because for me in the creative world, I don't know because when you start from the artistic point of view, which is where how you started,
Yeah.
the more creative realm, and then going into like corporate realm, the jump from that to the corporate realm is very difficult. I think
Yeah.
for a lot of people because people don't really understand that you have like the capability,
Yeah.
you don't have the
Yeah.
education, so
True.
certain kind of standard,
Yeah.
especially for big jobs, much in directing and writing. Um, I think people these like corporate companies don't really trust a lot of creatives in that sense. But you're saying that there's a heavy emphasis on uh selling it and being able to like show your character within the work.
Yeah. Um, when you talk about it, it's so like now I'm with a company. I signed with a company, right? And before that, I'm freelancing. So it's still the same method. But once you with a company, and let's say your company, they have name in this industry. So it depends. Like, okay, if you with a big company, so the client that they have will trust them. So
Okay.
once you're there and you sell to your boss that, okay, it's worth it to keep me, or they want to keep you,
Yeah.
to work with them. So I think that's another strong, what do you call, weapon.
Yeah.
So that's a good side to have company with you.
Yeah.
So
Macam
yeah.
they is not like your identity that's on the line, like your brand that's on the line. It's like another larger entity that you're working for. So the risk isn't on you totally lah.
Yeah. Yep. But if you fuck, your company will fuck you up lah.
Yeah. I mean obviously
So
lah.
so yeah, it's
Obviously
still
you
you
still have
can't
to do.
run that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like there's another layer on top of you. So there's a pros and cons as well.
How did you develop your skills if you didn't go to school for it? Macam for me, if I see some, I mean, photos, okay, you can definitely go to tutorial on YouTube and stuff like that, just learning how to technically take good photos. You know all the eyes, whatever, all the settings and shit. But for such a skill like macam directing, it kind of, for me, you require some sort of like education to be able to fully understand it. Um, but you haven't gone through any of that. Like, how did you manage to be able to sharpen your directing skills?
Before, like I hired as a director, like I do still direct my own things. So even though for small things like a music video or even
You did
photo
music videos
shoot,
before.
yeah,
Okay.
commercial, right? So you have to just go out there and do it to start to learn. And then there's the internet, there's the people that work with you can
Yeah.
ask.
You also intern, eh? Did you intern with ATG? Oh, you didn't intern with them.
We just more like collaborate and just work together.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a job, then okay, like he don't have enough hands, then okay, I'm free, and then
Helping out. But you always knew macam how things work within the set?
try and error, man. Like try best to not error. But
Yeah.
let's say you want to cook, you figure out how to cook, right?
Yeah.
So the outcome, the finished product is gonna say you good or not, or what you have to improve. So same goes to whatever I'm doing right now. I mean, like I write since back then we all write, but how the format of like writing a screenplay and stuff like that, that's take practice and just do works and experience. So if you not stop doing it, I think like that's not possible to even go bigger, Yeah.
So you practice and learn it through just like.
Yeah.
But macam these kinds of things, macam these kind of sets and shoots, they require like a lot of people.
Yes, a big
And it
scale.
requires a lot of money
Yes,
for it
very
to.
big.
So for people to really trust you to do such a job, macam tak rasa macam susah to get the initial
Actually, yes.
trust though. Because like if you're responsible for a lot of things, like and then I mean, okay, music video, I'm guessing if it's just for friends and stuff, okay, it could be smaller scale. But then you grow into a bigger set scale and bigger. So from like that really much a small scale, small like 5% team, for example, into like a 15% team. And then you're getting a role, it depends, okay, you're writing for the shoot. Doesn't that require like a lot of trust?
Yeah. I also don't know how I make people trust me.
Yeah.
But I think
That's more that's what I'm interested more. Lah.
I think the way you work.
Work ethic.
Yeah, the way you work. Like I don't act like I know everything, when I'm in the project. And so you cannot give like, okay, I don't know this and therefore I can't do it. So if I don't know about something or I'm not clear about something, there's always a person that you will come to and, okay, how about this?
Yeah.
I think this work and this not working. And if you still don't know, you can search and all that. That's the first base before I get to this scale. So it's also you have to ask people that trust me, because I don't know. They give me the job, right? So how I deliver and also how I learn throughout the process.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Okay.
You can't really tell like 101 of
Yeah.
how to make people trust you to give
Yeah,
you
faham,
that kind
faham,
of job. It's also sum up to the whole process that I've been working. So yeah.
Do you also think that might, macam you said just now with ATG, I thought you were interning. You intern with them, but like it's a collaborative process. So you guys both work on something together.
Yeah.
And I think that you've also had like a lot of other experience with other people.
Yeah.
Just collaborating from that sense. You think that collaborating is like a big part of getting your name out there? Just experimenting.
Like, you collaborate if only that you want to do as well. You don't just collaborate to everything. I think that's also dangerous state that I don't want to go. When you always open for collaborate, people don't want to work with you. People just want to have you.
Yeah.
So if you want to get your name out there for work, there's a way. For me, if you want to work, you don't give a lot. People will demand for that if you don't give a lot. So that's why also I don't post a lot of my stuff.
Right,
If you
okay.
want, you have to wait maybe 1-2 years on some channels or whatever. So I think that's what basically client and stuff looking for. So I don't stress much on collaboration and putting my day like on Instagram,
Okay.
because if you aim for Instagram, you will just get there, not out of
Yeah,
Instagram.
so that's the thing I was talking to Silas about. Not sure if you're familiar with like the modeling work.
Yeah.
But I was talking to him about Top Boy agency. Do you know Top Boy?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people talking about, okay, Top Boy, macam, sometimes you don't get the amount of gigs that the models there don't get the amount of gigs that they expected from an agency. But the reason why Top Boy was interesting in the first place was because of their creative field and creative element. And when there's a difference between like if you're known for your creative element versus if you're known for like your corporate work. And if you're known for your creative element, then you get the creative rates lah, for example. So it's probably the same thing when it's just like, oh, if you're strictly doing videos for Instagram, then you're always gonna end up doing Instagram work lah.
Not necessarily. Like, you can end up there just Instagram, but also if you make content for Instagram, if you write things for Instagram, or if you take photo for Instagram, it will be there. So you have to write or do something or create something that is not for Instagram,
Okay. Faham.
So that's when I don't think like, okay, whatever photo that I have, like, should I put it on Instagram, or maybe should I wait for a few years and I exhibit it?
Yeah.
Because people can watch it on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's maybe how also you play. But it's really dangerous place to play also if like that, because you
You might not be relevant and tak ada momentum and
no,
all those things.
like that's so like, it's not just to stay relevant though. Like, for an artist, I don't think they should worry to be relevant, because you need to have your original voice and flavor, right? So if you keep just prioritize the relevant, like you will might not find that one thing that people will seek for you or look for you if they think about it. You know, if you think of relevant things, or I will go to the people that gonna do that relevant things.
Yeah, faham.
You know.
Yeah. So I mean, what you're telling me right now is more just like the fundamentals of like really being an artist in your own right,
Yeah.
and having people look out for you as a particular artist instead of just a worker,
Yep.
someone that can get shit done.
True.
It's more about having your own voice.
Yeah. Exactly.
So when people look out for you I mean, I guess that shined through the work that you've done prior, that people can just notice, oh, okay, we want Nessy for her voice, a particular voice, and so on, that she can do the work
Yep.
on. Is there any particular corporate? I mean, now you've done corporate work prior to being in a company. Is there any corporate work that really stood out for you and as in your career as like, okay, this is one thing that I did that just really put my name out there?
Every time is about commercial and corporates, like
Yeah.
because I never see myself drawn to that, you know. But it's also a stepping stone.
Yeah.
So whenever some of creative, they have ego. Like I have my ego too, right? So like I want to be a film director, but now I'm working also as a commercial director. But the definition of great creative is when you can switch off and on, that like I know that I don't like do commercial, but I can switch off that and I do good commercial.
Okay.
You know, so
yeah. Faham.
that's so important. Some people like, oh, I cannot do commercial. I cannot do things that doesn't have story, doesn't have meaning. But when it comes to corporate and commercial, it's a so totally different thing. They want to sell their brand and stuff, and some commercial like are just really nothing if you think about it, like the story. Or it's just production value.
Yeah.
You know, so that's when like I'm struggling with at first, but I learned in the meantime, like, okay, actually it's not that bad, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you worried about, oh, if I do commercial that meaningless, and then I'm worried about when I do films that like, oh, I want to do films that mean something to me, and also I don't want people to see my other work that meaningless. I mean, that's not really issue here. I think that's when artists or director or people that want to be a director struggle with, and they really think it's such a big issue to choose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of
Yeah.
yeah, I've met like a lot of artists where they just cannot switch off their artist mode, and then when it becomes professional, when you have to become professional, and it's like, okay, I understandably, a lot of creatives don't want to lose out on their ego and saying that, okay, I'm an artist and I shouldn't be doing these like commercial works that like it means nothing to me, blah blah blah. But even with Safehouse, when we started, it's like we've always liked throwing parties, we love throwing events, but sometimes we need to pay the bills.
Yep.
And then we have the rent and the utilities, blah 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 blah. That means certain things that we have to do, we must be compromised of our artistic integrity, you know. So we still need to be able to sell certain things and make sure that things move.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, I think if you want to be a successful creative, whether it be within the arts world or not, you kind of have to play the part where you can get paid or not.
Yeah.
I think that's like a big factor, whether or not you make money.
Yeah, true. And for me, a great artist or director should be able to, if people throw anything at you, you can deliver a good product, you know, a good finished product. Like even like you, a film director, you just like a thriller kind of director, and you don't want to do rom-com because you don't want, right, to mess it up your personal taste. But if you good director and not good trailer director, you can have both good finished movies.
Yeah.
In different genres.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The way that the perspective that you're putting in right now, macam, it's very much about the complete, you know, I don't know, wouldn't say artist, but like it's just like there's a heavy emphasis on work ethic and being able to execute things when asked for. And I think it's good to give that perspective because there are other elements of the art world that is not just art.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things. There's like people who buy it. There's
Yeah.
people who consume it.
Yeah.
There's people who, ask for, I don't know, hey, can like a commission? There's like a lot of different things where it's not just like you're going to shine as an artist because the reality is only, I don't know, a very small amount of people make it as like as big as like these superstar artists like
True.
whoever. Most of the time it's in relation to other people. And for example, like music, you have musicians, but there's also the producers, the managers, the ANAs, the people at the in the behind the scenes, that the people that make the artwork, the people that make the music videos. So when you're a director, also it's like you have your actors, which are you have your producer, you have your client, and it's just like a bunch of people that you are also working in relation with.
Yeah.
So what I'm understanding, the things that you're emphasizing is more about just being able to execute that work in relation to other people
Yeah.
to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Instead of just like saying, "Hey, this is not my style. I don't want to do it."
Yeah, I mean, like, people will respect and understand that, but you have to ask yourself, like,
Yeah.
how far you can use that line.
The artist narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that's also part of sacrifice and cons, pros that you have to take into account.
Yeah.
It's about a whole package. Like, you can't choose if you want to be an artist or celebrity, but you don't like fame. But that's what
It
you
comes
really
with it.
love to do.
Yeah.
It makes you happy, but are you willing to sacrifice that just because the things you don't like in that
Yeah.
industry?
No, it makes
yeah.
sense. It makes sense because like it's not just one thing. It's like a lot of different factors
Yeah.
that come into it. Yeah, but I wish that a lot of like artists nowadays in Malaysia like really tend to consider that as well because it's obvious. I mean, this with your example, with your life so far, is that like if you for the past, I don't know, half an hour, you've just been stressing about work ethic and being able to approach things professionally, consistently, and also have a voice of your own as an artist. I think that shows, in comparison to a lot of other people who try to like really say, okay, I'm an artist, but I don't want to do anything else,
Yeah.
but still stay at the same position that
Yeah,
they were for the
true.
past, I don't know how many years.
True. I agree. Like,
I mean, obviously, like you agree, it's your
agree.
example, yeah.
so,
Yeah, so I don't know, like I think it's a big part of like learning about life in general and like
Yeah,
career paths,
true.
right? Like you trial and error and really understanding, okay, give it up sometimes to achieve a greater objective.
True.
But how do you see like the I guess like the independent film world in Malaysia, because I don't think there's a lot of, it's not as popular as making music, for example.
Yeah.
It's also not as popular as like taking pictures or fashion. I think I wouldn't say it's niche, but it's definitely a smaller and more refined kind of artistic interest, artistic form, directing and writing screenplays, writing scripts. But how do you think that kind of world is developed in the community in Malaysia right now?
Like, there's a movement, like, as it's not as big, I think, but there's still a strong movement in Malaysia when you talk about indie films. Doesn't matter full length or short films, right? But also I understand, let's say you make 1 minute music, let's say a month, but you want to make 20-minute music, 20-minute video or films.
Okay.
It will take you longer. You have scripts, you have
Yeah.
location, you have to edit, post, and pre-production. So
Manpower.
manpower, the skill, right? So that's also required time, and that's why I think it's not as fast or as big, because to do that, actually, it does really take a lot of effort and consume time.
Yeah.
And some people, they don't want to do it to support and to be just in the scene, but they're just not able to. Yeah. So that's when I think
I mean, obviously, there's
it's
like
not that we don't want to watch or we don't want to support, but the product to throw out there, taking time and consume a lot of things, like even money, right? So
I mean, obviously, becoming an independent musician is much easier because you don't really have to depend on so many things, like people, for example. That it's like those things are like sorry, those things are not so dependent on like other factors. But when something like you want to make a movie, independent film, it takes a lot of consideration about time and stuff. And I guess that's true. But do you think that the Malaysian environment is conducive or like supportive of such things, even though it takes a lot of time? But what I'm seeing, macam, for example, FINAS is like a body that controls like the output of like what kind of films are out there, and to people it serves as like a big obstacle, not a body that really supports the field, but more of an obstacle for you to have to overcome. Do you think that that is a problem that kind of hinders and stops people from being fully committed to becoming directors
not
or being in the film world?
there's an obstacle, but there's not things that will stop a person make films or direct a film. To me, there's like, if you talk about support, right? Yes, we have that fun and stuff like that up there. We have like competition for film production company for this younger and new director, writer to get their movie done, you know? There's a community and stuff like that. But maybe the lack of, like you need equipment, you know? Yes, you can make with your phone, but like, if you can choose, you want to have a better equipment and stuff like that, right? And I think that's also why that, like, if we have like FINAS, let's say, that can give this loan of equipment to all people that want to make films, you know, just such of like things like they could afford to buy or even rent. I think that will make this faster as well, because some people just wait about the equipment. They have the idea, they have this and that, but they can't go shoot it because they don't have friends that have the equipment. They don't have photographer or videographer that want to collab with them and stuff like that. So that's, I think, tools in making films are very important. I think if we have that, it will be very, like, it will be advantage for this industry to make more stuff, because that's what stopped me to make work back then.
The equipment.
The equipment, let's say my laptop fuck, or my laptop can't support to edit this
Render or whatever.
what shit, right? And that's make me like harder to do it. So if I have a place that I can go and use the equipment and tools, I will come back with finished product.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, my perspective. I mean, the way that the place that I came from when I was saying that, it was more about like the content wise. Like for us, certain kind of content is like too sensitive in Malaysia, or like too stuff that, you know, like people say, okay, if you talk about this topic or this topic, it kind of FINAS kind of puts a block onto it. I mean, obviously there are a lot of like material factors, like actually equipment. If you and not everyone wants to make a film with an iPhone. But I was talking more like being like directors or writers that are like have this creative side of them that want to talk about certain maybe sensitive topics that kind of are blocked by they are blocked by the potential of not being received well, especially by bodies like Fina.
For me, like, please do not target a Malaysia film industry. You know, you can, now we have internet and stuff like that, and your films can go out there. You know, if you can't make it here, like, you try, like I try to bring this sensitive topic a lot of time in films, in even my cast, my talent, and at exhibition itself. You know, it's really hard, and you just, if you were to fight until you just, okay, release that particular film here, or you can just like fuck off and submit somewhere else.
So what do you suggest?
Like, you have Netflix, you have Disney Plus, you have Astro, you have TV channels, YouTube, and stuff like that. You have, let's say you a bit independent, you want to try nowness and stuff like that. Go aim something like that, you know.
So you're saying there are like a lot of different avenues that's possible nowadays.
Yeah. So we're not depending on TV anymore. We're not depending on Astro. Like 10
like
years
the
back,
film,
yes,
cinemas and stuff.
Yeah, cinema also you don't have to target like Malaysia first if you really
So like
want
submit to like different festivals and stuff
festival
like that.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But festival, when you want to submit your work, you require money for the fee to submit. So having a company that holds you exclusively, it's really hard for you to not worry about that.
Yeah.
But they will send your work out there. So that's a thing that I feel like a lot of artists or directors should consider. Sometimes it's not all bad to have a company. I want to be independent and freelance too, but see where you are and at the moment, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it. I didn't really look at it that way, like because for us, I mean, for Safe House and for me personally, I have like a heavy emphasis on like the Malaysian scene. Let's say I don't want to make industry and like how how much potential there are for growth and stuff like that. And for me, when I'm seeing like the film industry or like when I just go to TV and just watch TV Tiga and stuff like that in my parents' house, it's like the same. I mean, the quality of stuff isn't that like comparable to contohnya South Korean drama.
Yeah.
You know, like the production quality, number one, the writing quality, the acting, and I think it's mostly because our when people want to make really quality films, they look outside. They're like, okay, how can I promote my stuff?
Yeah.
In festivals because they already know it's already difficult to be in Malaysian TV.
It's not that difficult though, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean
the topic wise lah. That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's really more difficult to sustain and to just put your work out there in Malaysia than other bigger than that actually. For me, I
so
think
it's easier to be in Malaysia.
No, it's harder to.
It's harder. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I think to the FINAS thing and the censorship and all that is not like obstacle.
Then
It's not something that stop you. I think once you out there, it will happen. Like let's say I have to pitch with Astro, right? But there's a censorship. Okay?
Yeah.
If you don't want it, I have Netflix that don't mind about the censorship. So you have to push and pull also with your client. You have to book them also.
Yeah.
You have to.
So there's no complete barrier lah.
No.
But doesn't FINAS like ban shit all the time?
Depends on what channel you air your stuff.
Oh no, I mean like full feature films, macam like on cinemas and stuff.
Like,
that's what I mean.
Like that's why if you see like film in Malaysia, most of good films, or relevant things that we want to see, normally will not be on TV or cinema in Malaysia, but you can see they will fly away for the festival first and stuff, and then get into the Netflix, and then like now what you want to complain, you get Netflix and the Malaysia TV channel. So also, why you want to complain about that? Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Tak tahu lah, because I have like a strong attachment to just how Malaysia is doing apart from outside, For me, like even if I make music or if I make my own art, I don't necessarily care about outside. I mean, this is a personal preference. Like I don't really necessarily care about like outside of Malaysia. It's more about like how we are here. But if that's the reality of it, then like you can't change that much.
Yeah, like that things shouldn't stop you though. Like
true.
shouldn't stop your work to just like, if people here can't see it, maybe other people still can see it. So why? Like yes, I prefer to all these people in Malaysia see it too, my work. But if I can't, they can still access it, but not through this channel in TV and stuff. That's it.
If that's the reality of it, that's the reality of it. So for you yourself, like how has your content for own films have been received? Like has that been, because I do know that you've like touched on like certain things that's quite, I mean, I wouldn't say controversial, but more like sensitive, like the along the lines of the sensitive part in Malaysia. And you do have that like voice in you when you do certain like some of your product. How has it been received so far? And like, do you think that's like a big part of who you are?
It's still a part of me, but like the receive, like that's good and bad. Like for the people out there, like receive the audience, it's very good, you know, like it's very positive. But the party of, like, let's say I'm doing an exhibition about LGBT or drag queens, like my artwork get turned down after the opening because of the sensitivity.
You
Even
get turned down by who?
the place,
The gallery.
the gallery, the person that take care of the gallery, basically the in charge of the place. So even though in art form you can't have that freedom to express or just to
Yeah.
tell and explore, you know. So in films, yeah, there's more that you can't, you know,
Yeah.
because the only place that you can explore in Malaysia, but still there's a censorship and sensitivity that you can't speak about. They are really like biased and one-sided, but that's a reality here.
So you do feel like you have been received like that, like you've been censored also,
Yeah.
especially when you talk about
Yeah.
like, is it mostly just like the LGBT kind of material, or has it been anything?
Anything sexual violence, like LGBT, especially gays and drags, you
Yeah.
know, like even like in commercial as well. I try to bring one of my friends as a talent, and
Yeah.
he's a drag queen. So when the clients or the company knows about it, they totally
Rejected.
reject it, even though they like it at first, before they know the news. So there's also like things that, like, okay, I hope I can't help it, but I tried. You
Yeah,
know, I
fun.
tried to do in exhibition, in commercials, and all that, but doesn't mean like I have to put it away. Like maybe I have to bring it in a bigger work that people can't say shit about, taking it down. You know,
Faham.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that is a unique idea, lah. Like
Yeah.
really just like holding on to it first. I
Yeah.
mean, if this is the reality of things, there might be different avenues. Number one, that's
Yeah.
what you said, you can go outside. But number two is, making it so unavoidable that people cannot say no to it.
yeah, true.
Do you have any idea for that and any plans?
Yeah.
Tapi kalau macam film,
Yeah.
I guess like if it's like a big fucking movie and then you really present it like a crazy thing, people cannot say no lah, because
Yeah.
like the amount of, sometimes there are like really influential works that's just like monumental and really shifts how people see things, because there's no other way but to see it,
Yeah, true.
that's quite good lah. But I do commend like the fact that you have tried these places and like in form of artwork or in form of even like bringing it into the commercial world. And I mean, it's also nice to see like the LGBT community just being, I mean, I guess I don't know. Just like if that is a problem for you, and I'm guessing it's a way bigger problem for them.
Yes. Like
You know?
normally people will always think about the person itself. Like let's say I'm gay, I'm drag queen, I'm in LGBT, blah blah blah, right? Like doesn't mean only them that struggle with it. Like a person that with them, like a family to them. Like let's say I grew up very familiar. Like I have a lesbian sister, I have this gay, this lesbian, this and all that, and I've been like grew up with them, and I just like have a strong commitment to
The story.
to bring, you know. So it's been struggle to me. Like it's not just them will cry for that. Like I also cry for if I fail to help them or to bring them into the circle, you know. So but yeah, I have a good feeling that with the community that we had and the knowledge and the easy access that we have, I think like there's gonna be more people that actually are just waiting for that kind of topic to be brought.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that gonna stop you, but for me, as I feel and I know, it's more than that waiting for you to just bring that in the topic. Yeah.
I mean, I do think that
Yeah.
I mean, from what I see, um, slowly, one way or another, especially with the internet and like how easy it is for us to communicate on the internet nowadays, these kind of issues have found ways to be part of Malaysian discourse and having people just talk about it and be okay with it. Just really just having those kinds of conversations, um, especially obviously in KL and maybe Selangor, but like in the
Yeah.
urban areas,
Yeah.
it's more open. Yeah, but like really really interesting for you to really say, okay, you've tried these kinds of avenues and you're still going to fight for it regardless.
Yeah.
um and I wish that like certain kind of platforms, I mean, Safe House also, we've always been um I mean, we've always been open to kind of opportunities like this because it's something that worthwhile. They are
Yeah.
like large communities that really
True.
need one, obviously the LGBT community, and number two is just having an open space for artwork that is not blocked or censored or having to follow certain guidelines and obstacles and shit like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to name drop which gallery had to like reject your work, but that doesn't sound very conducive for
Yeah,
art
I
in
very
general.
very transparent. Like, so, it's Rumah Tangsi.
Oh, that was the one. Huh?
Yeah, it's a guy. I can't remember the name, but I totally like transparent expose what they did, because I think it's not fair for the artists, and for my friend too. I mean, the talent in the photos, like the few of my friends that be my models and my muse, and I use their time, I consume their energy to just have this one piece of work and it get turned down. And what about my time or so that I spend for that particular work, my
Did you
money and
make it
stuff.
particularly for the
Yes.
Oh, you
Yeah.
made it for them.
Yeah.
So they asked you to do something.
Yes, and they know my work. I mean, like, because there's two different bodies, right? The person that in charge of the exhibitions, and
The
then
curator.
and then the person that have the place or take care of the place.
The owner.
Yeah, sort of, but it's not like a real owner. Some just like will be responsible if anything happened to that place, basically.
Okay.
So I don't really know. So that kind of person. And as a curator, you should know your artists as well, to save them. If you think the place you will fuck this up,
Yeah.
you shouldn't call or invite such an artist.
Yeah, lah. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. Like you're already known
Yeah.
to have a certain kind of voice and
Like,
address certain topics.
good that they're trying to, but I think it's not very professional way. Even
Yeah.
how my artwork get turned down. I've been asked to censor my work, which I did, and after that, still I got turned down. So it's quite not fair for me. And if it's happened to other artists, like,
Yeah.
I don't want that. That's why I always support everyone to be transparent about this kind of thing.
Yeah, I do agree. Also, it's just like that I've talked to a bunch of different people, and especially with Safe House, like we are always like transparent, especially with money lah, because like it really, with this podcast also, we're always talking about like how you're able to sustain yourself as artists or as platforms or whatever, and it's important for other people to know, because then they can set standards for themselves and become fully inform themselves doing what they can do to learn from each other.
True.
But if you're just like going to block it, then a lot of people can't learn. But that's one thing, just approaching and communicating about sensitive things. But also another thing, when you're just like blocking artwork, I don't know. Like for me, it's weird when you're like censoring. If you're an arts platform or and you're censoring art, that's a weird. For me, it's just weird.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. For me,
It's just like, what the fuck?
yeah, I mean, I don't know how to say all that. Like it's just yeah, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
you
It's
know?
just like big what the fuck, and the way to reply is a big fuck you
Yeah.
to them.
But what do
Yeah.
they expect? I mean, and the same thing goes to like governing bodies, macam FINAS and stuff like that. To me, it's like if you're supportive of the creative world, is it running? Oh, shit.
Okay.
I already lost my train of thought, but
The bodies like FINAS and all that. Yeah.
it's if they're meant to be able to support the arts, just like what's the point of hindering it and giving further more obstacles to be able to to not have these artworks to be shown or produced, because that, in the end of the day, for me, I don't know, like for you, you're more like persistent and strong about it and like optimistic about other avenues for which to showcase your work. But for me, if I'm like an aspiring director, I would have long given up on the dream to release my movie in Malaysia, because of how rampant it is that works are censored. You know, but yeah, like good on you that you like
Yeah.
see it in a more like optimistic and like really
Yeah.
strong way.
Like the same goes apply like about you can still make a good movie without all this uncensored shit. You know, like things like, okay, I want to put this in the movie, but
Yeah,
you can still make something that their standard, like
Yeah.
FINAS standard and all that, and it's still good. So
But
you
your
you still can do both,
but
you know.
lose a bit of your ego lah, and that story that you really want to express.
But you don't have to stop make that story that you want to express, but not for them.
Well, yeah. Okay. Technical ending. I mean, we've already reached 50 minutes or
Wow.
so almost 1 hour. So thank you very much, Nessy, for showing up and sharing your insights, especially, just like the optimistic nature and outlook you have on, persistence in art and professionalism in work. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys next Tuesday, and Save Us You presents Mulut Murai. Bye bye.